Hey there, so let's talk about daylight saving time DST, that time of year when we shift our clocks back and forth.
Yep.
It's coming up again soon. And yeah, I know, it can get a little confusing. So what exactly is it? Why do we do it? And when does it happen? Alright, so this year in Canada and most of the US, DST ends on Sunday, November 3rd, 2024 at exactly 2 a.m. At that moment, we'll be turning our clocks back 1 hour, signaling a return to standard time. It's kind of nice because we all get an extra hour of sleep that night, which, who doesn't love a little more sleep, right? But on the flip side, the sun will start setting earlier, which means those lovely long evenings of summer are officially behind us. Now, why do we have daylight saving time anyway? The idea actually goes back a while, like all the way to World War I. DST was introduced as a way to make the most of daylight during the warmer months. By moving the clocks forward in the spring, we get longer evenings, which encourages people to spend more time outdoors and ideally helps to save a bit of energy by reducing the need for artificial lighting. However, not everyone loves it, right? Some people say it disrupts their sleep patterns and daily routines, and there's actually a lot of debate over whether DST really saves that much energy anymore. So how does this change affect you? Well, when DST ends, there are a few things to expect. First, we fall back by 1 hour, which means 1. The sun will rise earlier, so if you're an early riser, you'll have more light to start your day. 2. The evenings will get darker earlier, which can be a bummer for those of us who love to be out after work or school. 3. And yeah, our sleep schedules might get a bit thrown off as our bodies adjust. For some people, the earlier sunsets can impact their mood and productivity. There's even something called seasonal affective disorder, SAD. Yeah, it's actually a thing that affects people when there's a sudden drop in daylight hours. Symptoms of SAD can include feeling a bit down, sluggish, or even having trouble focusing, especially as the days get shorter and darker. Interestingly, not all places follow daylight saving time. Like, did you know that Saskatchewan in Canada and Hawaii and most of Arizona in the US don't observe DST? They just stick with standard time all year round. And globally, countries like Japan, India, and China don't mess with the clocks either. They seem to manage just fine, which is part of why some people argue we should do away with DST altogether. Speaking of changes, will DST stick around forever? There's been quite a bit of talk recently about scrapping it. You may have heard about the US Senate passing something called the Sunshine Protection Act, which proposed a shift to permanent daylight saving time, meaning we wouldn't change clocks at all anymore. But well, it hasn't become law just yet, so as of now, we're still doing the whole spring forward, fallback thing for 2025. To give you a quick heads up, in 2025, DST is set to start on Sunday, March 9th and end on Sunday, November 2nd, assuming, of course, that no legislation changes in the meantime. Okay, now, adjusting to standard time can be a bit rough, especially if you're sensitive to shifts in your sleep schedule. Here are a few tips that might help make the transition smoother. 1. Go to bed a bit earlier. Try adjusting your bedtime by 10 to 15 minutes a few days before the time change. It can make a big difference. 2. Limit screen time before bed. You know that blue light from screens can mess with your natural body clock, so try to avoid screens close to bedtime. 3. Get some morning sunlight. Sunlight helps reset your internal clock. Even just a few minutes of natural light in the morning can help your body adjust. 4. Keep a regular sleep schedule. Try to stick to the same sleep and wake times every day to help stabilize your circadian rhythm. So what should you expect on November 3rd, 2024? Besides the obvious clock shift, there are a few things to keep in mind. Transportation, some train and flight schedules might adjust, so double check if you have any travel plans. Technology, most of our devices, phones, computers, and smart gadgets will automatically update the time. But if you have any analog clocks, you'll need to change those manually. Work and school. Monday, November 4th, will be the first day back to work or school under standard time. So if you find people a bit groggy or adjusting to the earlier darkness, this is probably why. And hey, if you're curious about the history of DST, it's actually pretty interesting. The concept has been around for over a century, first widely used during World War I to conserve fuel by extending daylight hours. But after the war, it kind of faded out, only to return again during World War II. And over the years, different regions have adjusted their observance, with some places opting out completely. More recently, though, there's been a lot of debate about whether DST is even relevant today. Some experts say that the disruptions to sleep, along with potential health risks, might outweigh any supposed benefits. Looking toward the future, will DST actually be abolished? That's a question that still doesn't have a clear answer. Some advocates argue that keeping standard time year-round would be better for our health and routines, while others believe permanent DST would be more beneficial, especially with longer daylight in the evening for activities and even economic boosts. In Canada and the US, there's definitely a push on both sides, but for now, no nationwide changes have been finalized. So yeah, as DST ends on November 3rd, don't forget to set your clocks back 1 hour and enjoy that extra hour of sleep. It might feel a bit disruptive at first, but it's also a chance to settle into a cozier, winter-ready routine. And if you stay informed and follow a few of these tips, you'll be prepared not just for this change, but any updates on DST that might come down the road. And hey, let's not forget the small pleasures that come with each seasonal shift, like that crisp morning air or the cozy early evenings that invite us to unwind. Whether or not DST sticks around forever, for now, it's just another part of the changing seasons, and it reminds us to pause and adapt as we transition into the winter months. If you've got more questions about DST, here are a few quick FAQs. When does DST end in 2024? November 3rd, 2024 at 2 a.m. Clocks will go back by 1 hour. Why do we have DST? The main goal is to make better use of daylight during warmer months, encouraging outdoor activities and, in theory, conserving energy. Which countries don't observe DST? A few notable ones are Japan, India, China, and parts of Canada, like Saskatchewan. Will we have DST in 2025?
Yep.
Unless legislation changes, DST will start on March 9th, 2025 and end on November 2nd, 2025. How can you adjust to the time change? Try going to bed a bit earlier, getting morning sunlight, and sticking to a consistent sleep schedule. Hope that helps clear things up about daylight saving time.
Thanks for watching our video. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe the channel. Thank you.